Hey, let me ask you something. Have you ever had a woman ask you a question that felt random, like, why aren't you married? Or, do you date younger women? You probably thought she was just making conversation, but here's the truth. She was testing the water quietly, carefully, and if you didn't notice, she noticed that you didn't. This video is for older men who are still out there dating, connecting, maybe starting over, and want to understand how attraction finally appears at this stage of life. Because after a certain age, flirting doesn't look like it used to. It's quieter, it's smarter, it's disguised as curiosity. And if you're not paying attention, you'll miss it entirely. Today, we're breaking down 7 subtle questions men ask when they're secretly interested, and how your response can either open the door or close it without even realizing. This isn't about pickup lines or charm. It's about presence, awareness, emotional confidence. So if you've ever walked away thinking, she seemed nice but probably wasn't into me, you should watch this one all the way through. Let's get into it. Number 1. How old are you really when a woman looks at a man and asks, how old are you? Really, she's rarely just looking for a number. It's not a math test, it's an emotional calibration. She wants to know your age and your relationship with it. Are you hiding from it, apologizing for it? Or are you at ease in your skin, unshaken by time? This question is subtle, often playful, sometimes flirtatious, but always layered, because for many women, age is less about numbers and more about energy. What she's trying to sense is, are you present and alive in this moment, or are you carrying the weight of regret, comparison, or insecurity about where you should be? By now, a man who meets this question with humor and self-possession tells her more about himself than he may realize. She hears self-acceptance if he says, older than I, look younger than I feel, with a calm smile and no trace of performance. She reads confidence if he answers directly, without over-explaining or trying to downplay the number. But if he flinches, gets defensive, or tries to impress with how youthful he acts, she senses something's off. Not in his age, but in his relationship to it. Women are not repelled by age, they're repelled by shame. What draws them in is presence. It's the man who owns his story, the years he's lived, the lessons he's learned. It's the man who doesn't try to relive his 20s or compete with younger men, but instead brings the richness of his experience into every conversation without needing to boast about it. Age becomes irrelevant when the man before her radiates grounded energy, emotional maturity, and a quiet sense of purpose. This doesn't mean pretending time hasn't passed. It means being at peace with how it has shaped you, because a man who's at ease with who he is, grey hairs, scars, quiet wisdom, and all is a man who gives off emotional safety. Emotional safety permits a woman to soften trust and lean in. So when she asks, how old are you? Really, don't just hear it as a curiosity. Hear it as an invitation. She's asking if you can meet her in the present, fully honestly and without pretending to be someone. You're not a man who answers that call without fear, or performance immediately stands out, not because of how many birthdays he's had, but because of how deeply he's lived through them. Because in the end, it's not youth that attracts her. It's aliveness, and that has nothing to do with your birth year and everything to do with how you carry it. Number 2, why aren't you married? When a woman asks, why aren't you married? She may deliver it with a smile, a teasing tone, or quiet curiosity, but beneath the surface, it's never really about the paperwork. It's a layered question disguised as casual conversation. What she's truly searching for is insight into your emotional availability. She wants to know, are you open or hiding behind old wounds? Is there space in your life, not just logistically, but emotionally, for someone new? Most men hear the question and are urged to defend, explain, or justify. Some might respond with cynicism. brushing off relationships altogether as a hassle or a trap. Others might retreat into self-deprecation or say, just unlucky, I guess, but what she's listening for isn't your marital status. It's your state. Has he grown from the past, or is he still stuck in it? The most powerful way to respond isn't to give a timeline or a regret-filled story. It's to show her gently that your emotional landscape is uncluttered, that the past has taught you, but no longer controls you. A calm, grounded man might say, "There was a time I thought I would be, but life had other plans. I've learned a lot about what I value, and I'm open to something real when it's right." That kind of answer doesn't just sound healthy. It feels healthy, it suggests forward motion, and that's what she's scanning for, because women don't want to walk into a man's life only to become a placeholder for what he lost, or worse, a battleground for what he hasn't resolved. Emotional availability is not about saying "I'm ready." It's about showing it in your energy, tone, and emotional presence when you speak of the past. Do you talk with bitterness, sarcasm, or subtle blame? Or do you say to a man who has integrated the experience and moved forward with quiet strength? Even more than your words, your relationship with your own story is what she reads. She's not just curious about why you're not married. She's assessing if you've made peace with your path, if you carry yourself like someone proving he doesn't need anyone, or if you've reached a place where connection would complement your life. Do not complete it. An emotionally available man doesn't rush to explain himself. He doesn't perform optimism, nor does he wallow in the past. He owns his path. He sees it as part of what shaped him, not what defines him. And in doing so, he communicates something far more valuable than relationship history, readiness without desperation. So when she asks the question again, or something like, remember, she's not testing your relationship rum. She's reading the emotional air around your answer. Let it reflect steadiness. Let it reflect maturity, most importantly. Let it reflect a man with space for something meaningful, because that's what she's asking. Honestly, number 3, do you date younger women? When she asks, do you date younger women? What she's saying isn't about age at all. Behind those simple words lies a question of possibility, a subtle hint that she wonders if there is room for more than friendship. It is not merely an inquiry into your dating habits, but a moment of vulnerability in which she tests whether you can connect on a level that transcends superficial measures like age. In her question, there is an unspoken invitation. She asks if you are willing to see her not as a friend or just an acquaintance, but as someone who might set your heart racing and ignite your creative energy. Age becomes secondary when there is genuine chemistry, when a spark of energy transforms ordinary interactions into moments of profound connection. She is curious to see if you value vitality, passion, and the excitement of a dynamic presence over mere numbers. This moment often reveals more about you than any direct declaration could, for a man who understands that real connection is born of shared energy and authentic chemistry, rather than societal expectations. This question is an opportunity to invite her deeper into your world. It is not about chasing youth or following trends, but about embracing a mindset that prizes life inspiration and the mutable dance of attraction. When you acknowledge the sentiment behind her words, you show that you are flexible in forming bonds that exceed the conventional boundaries of age. Your response becomes a mirror of your inner energy. If you answer with a dry recitation of past dating patterns, you close the possibility of genuine intimacy. Instead, if you respond with warmth and understanding, perhaps saying something like, "I'm more interested in the vibe we create together than anything else," you reveal that you value chemistry's unpredictable, enchanting nature. Such a response will validate her feelings and invite her into a conversation that honors her individuality and the shared magic that arises when two people truly connect. The underlying truth is that attraction is not confined to what society deems acceptable, or conventional. A flexible approach to dating reflects a broader openness to experience and a commitment to living with passion. It shows that you're willing to invest in a connection where emotions and shared moments matter far more than any predefined metric. When a man is attuned to these subtleties and responds with genuine self-assurance, he creates a safe space where a woman feels seen and valued as more than just a friend in embracing this perspective. You validate her internal question and demonstrate that you believe in the power of authentic connection. The vibrancy of shared energy and the flow of natural chemistry become the foundation upon which meaningful relationships are built, transcending any arbitrary measure of age. And when the connection is real, the numerical details fade into the background, replaced by an enduring sense of partnership and mutual inspiration. Number 4, what kind of woman do you usually go for? It sounds like a casual question that might slip easily into early conversation over coffee or during a quiet walk, but beneath the surface, it carries emotional weight when a woman asks, "What kind of woman do you usually go for?" She's not just curious about your past, she's assessing whether she fits into your present desires and potentially your future. It's a moment where she wants to feel seen but not evaluated, heard but not compared. Most men answer this question either too broadly or too literally. They list vague traits, kind, funny, smart, or worse. They describe someone physically not realizing how quickly that can shift the tone of the interaction from intimate to transactional. What she's asking is something more profound. Am I the kind of woman a man like you values? And how you respond will either pull her closer or push her into subtle retreat. This is an opportunity to rise above the obvious. Don't reduce the answer to checklists. Speak to qualities that reflect emotional depth and lived experience. I tend to be drawn to women who are thoughtful, who see through things, someone who can laugh easily, but also sit in stillness without needing to fill it. When you speak this way, you're doing 2 things. First, you signal that you're not shallow or reactive. You're not swayed by surface-level attraction alone. You're tuned into a woman's essence. Second, you invite her to feel emotionally safe. You show that what you're looking for can't be measured by appearance alone, but by something more personal. How someone makes you feel, how they show up, how they carry their moments. It's not about giving a rehearsed answer. It's about being present and reflective. If you've had real experiences with women who moved, you speak from that share, how curiosity or emotional depth drew you in, more than looks ever could let her see that. What captures your attention is not what fades but deepens. You can even add a gentle turn to the conversation. Why do you ask this? Doesn't deflect. It shows confidence. It allows her to reveal her curiosity without putting her on the spot. Often she's fishing for reassurance, without saying it directly. And when you speak to values and connection, instead of categories and types, she'll feel it, because women don't want to feel like they're being measured against past lovers or mental templates. They want to feel like this moment matters, that who they are right now is enough to be noticed, appreciated, and possibly remembered. When you handle that question with quiet clarity and honest reflection, you offer something rare, a glimpse into your emotional world, paired with the strength not to posture or impress in a dating culture driven by appearance and quick judgment. Choosing to value character over categories is refreshing and magnetic. She's not just asking what you want, she's listening to how deeply you feel. And if your answer reflects real, thought-grounded presence and appreciation for more than just beauty, she'll feel safer, more open and more drawn to explore what comes next. Number 5. Are you always this charming at first glance? It sounds like a playful compliment, a sweet remark tossed with a smile that could mean anything or nothing. But when a woman asks, "Are you always this charming?" there's a hidden current beneath the surface. She's not just admiring your confidence or humour. She's testing something deeper. Is this a spark that burns consistently or just a momentary flicker? Can she trust that what she's experiencing is real, or is it just another well-rehearsed performance? This kind of comment often comes when the emotional energy feels light, maybe even flirtatious, but beneath her words lies a quiet question. Is there substance behind the style? And that's where many men miss the mark. They either deflect the compliment too quickly, joke it away, or double down on trying to impress. But what she's looking for isn't more charm. She's looking for a moment of grounded sincerity, a brief glimpse of what she's feeling is mutual, that you're skilled at connection and genuinely present within it. The correct response doesn't come from a script. It comes from emotional awareness. You don't need to answer her question with a clever line. You can meet her energy with a relaxed smile, eye contact, and something simple like, "Only with people who actually get it." That reply says, "Yes, there's charm here, but it's not for everyone. You brought this out of me." Suddenly, the moment becomes personal. Real, it tells her she's not just on the receiving end of charisma, she's participating in its creation. And that changes everything, because what women long for isn't just to be entertained or impressed, they want to feel seen. When she asks if you're always this way, she's not asking for a resume of how well you flirt. She's asking if she is part of something rare and meaningful in your presence. If you respond with grounded warmth, not performance, you create that emotional safety. Many overlook charm. Without presence fades quickly. But charm is grounded in awareness of yourself. Her in the moment that lingers. That's the kind of interaction she replays later. Not because it was perfect, but because it felt real. When you carry yourself with self-assurance and respond without trying to escalate or impress you, signal something rare consistency. You're not here to chase reactions. You're here because you enjoy the moment. And that makes the moment enjoyable for her too. So the next time a woman says, "Are you always this charming?" hear the more profound message. She's not asking for performance. She's an inviting presence. And the man who knows how to stay grounded in that moment doesn't just attract her attention. He earns her curiosity. And from curiosity, a genuine connection begins. Number 6, why don't you have a girlfriend? It may sound casual, playful even, but when a woman asks it a man, "Why don't you have a girlfriend?" she isn't simply filling the silence or making small talk beneath the surface. She's probing for something more profound. She wants to know if his heart is still open, if he's emotionally available, if he still believes in Lohas. He's built emotional walls that quietly warn her to stay out. This question isn't really about his dating history. It's about his emotional present. A defensive answer, "Women just aren't worth the trouble," or "I've been focusing on myself," can feel like distance. It signals he's closed off even if he doesn't mean to be. And yet, a man who answers with grounded warmth shifts the entire tone of the conversation. If he can say something like, "I've taken time to grow and understand what I really want," he's no longer avoiding the subject, inviting her into a meaningful space. What women seek in that moment is less about explanation and more about emotional temperature. Is this a man who's bitter or better from his past? Does he carry heartbreak like a shield? Or has he done the work of reflection, growth, and quiet optimism? The answer tells her what kind of future, if any, she might be stepping into. Women are drawn to men who carry past experiences with grace, not resentment. A man who can acknowledge that he's been through things, yet still hold space for connection, signals emotional maturity. It's attractive not because he's perfect, but because he hasn't let imperfection harden him. He's been through disappointment without becoming jaded. He's lived without losing his openness. The truth is, most men want to be understood, but they often miss moments like these when a woman offers a soft doorway into something tangible she doesn't want to interrogate. She wants to feel his truth, and she wants to feel safe in it. When a man responds with sincerity, without over-explaining, without posturing, it draws her closer. It creates intimacy through vulnerability, not weakness, but grounded self-awareness. He isn't ashamed of being single. He isn't trying to convince her of his worth. He's simply showing who he is and where he stands. And in a world full of emotional noise, that kind of clarity stands out. So when she asks, "Why don't you have a girlfriend?" don't rush to defend or impress. Take a breath, smile, offer her the truth, the cuff that reveals not just of Ben, but who you're willing to go, because that's what she's listening for, not just your past, but your readiness for something real. Now, number 7, would you ever date someone like me on the surface? It sounds like a playful, even casual question, would you ever date someone like me? But beneath that light tone is something far more revealing. In that moment, she's not just asking about compatibility. She's testing emotional ground. She's reaching out with a quiet vulnerability, hoping to hear something that confirms she's seen wanted and not being misread. It's her way of asking, is this real? A man who understands the emotional layer behind this question doesn't jump to overanalyze or fumble for the cleverest response. He slows down, he feels the question, not just hears it, because what she needs isn't performance. It's sincerity, it's reassurance. Without desperation, presence without pressure. This isn't the time to joke it off or dodge with sarcasm. It's not the time to posture to say something, self-serving, or to twist it into a power play. It's a moment of quiet honesty. A simple truth can easily express more than 100 perfect lines. "I think I'd be lucky if I could" isn't just a compliment. It reflects grounded interest. It's soft, real, and it carries no hidden agenda. What happens next is just as important. Allow silence. Let the moment land. Don't rush to fill the space or explain more than you need to. The pause is powerful because it signals that you're comfortable with emotion. You're not scrambling to fix or manage her reaction. You're just being there with her, and that's what makes the interaction feel emotionally safe. Women test in ways that are often indirect, not to manipulate, but to protect their emotional investment. When she asks a question like this, she wants to feel that her curiosity didn't cost her dignity. You saw through the question into the human behind it and met her there without judgment. That creates emotional gravity in a world where most men either try too hard to impress or retreat into indifference. The man who can meet moments like this with quiet clarity stands out, not for being loud, but for being true, for showing her that she doesn't have to disguise her longing in irony or games she can just ask. And you won't use it against her. You won't mock the vulnerability. You'll hold it and respond with equal courage. And that courage doesn't have to be big or poetic. It just has to be real. Because sometimes the simplest things, like saying, "Yeah, I would," and meaning it can change everything about how she sees you. You're no longer a possibility. You become a presence, a man who didn't make her regret opening the door just a little. So when you hear, "Would you ever date someone like me?" don't treat it like a trap. Treat it like a gift, a small moment. When her guard drops, she offers you a glimpse of her hope. Respond with truth. Let it breathe and understand that in those quiet exchanges, connection grows faster than in any performance. What we've explored today isn't just about learning how women communicate interests. It's about learning how to listen beneath the surface truly. As men grow older, the rules of connection change. Women are no longer broadcasting attraction with bold, youthful flirtation. Instead, they offer softer invitations, subtle questions and gentle cues that say, "I'm open." If you are present enough to notice, these quiet questions aren't tests in the manipulative sense. They reflect a deeper emotional language that values safety, presence, and sincerity over smooth lines or grand gestures. Each question is an opportunity an invitation to connect, not just as a man, but as a grounded human being who is still emotionally available, curious, and open to love. And here's the truth. You don't need to be younger, louder, or more impressive. You simply need to be aware when a woman asks, "Why aren't you married?" or leans in with a quiet smile. She's not playing games, she's offering a moment of trust. What matters most is how you receive it. Respond not with defense or jokes, but with clarity and calm. Even without saying much, let her know that you see her and that you can still be seen yourself. If you've ever walked away from a conversation, wondering whether it meant something, maybe now you know it probably did. These are not just small talk moments, they're gentle openings and they matter. This video gave you a new perspective on the hidden language of connection. If you've had experiences like this, moments where you missed a cue or recognize one, just in time, we'd love to hear about it. Your story might help another man feel less alone and more prepared. Please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. And if you'd like to keep exploring these quiet but powerful aspects of connection, subscribe and turn on notifications. We'll be talking about so much more. And we'd love to have you on the journey. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the following video.